My only memory is the burning of flesh.
When I've asked people if they like the character Spawn, about 3 out of 10 say they love it, 4 out of 10 say they hate it, and the other 3 out of 10 simply look at me and say, "What's a Spawn?" This is Spawn Armageddon for the PlayStation 2. Spawn has been a love-hate concept since Todd McFarlane created it about 20 years ago. And since Armageddon's release in November of 2003, Spawn's true popularity is still somewhat of a mystery in my opinion. I'll even admit at first I didn't really care for the Spawn concept either. It honestly wasn't until a friend of mine referred me to this game where I really gave the character and the game a chance, which eventually led me to the comics and then the old HBO cartoons from long ago, which I loved. But the game itself I had to seriously struggle through. Not that it was difficult, but that I just wanted it to be over with since most of the time I was far from enjoying myself. Now I will say one thing. A feature that I always appreciated in games like this is the health meter that pops up for each individual person or thing you have to fight. Kinda like in Streets of Rage games, because nothing pisses me off more than beating the hell out of some kind of monster or human and not knowing if you've killed them or not, or simply just stunned the little bastards. You'll always know if you've pulled away from an enemy too early when they've snuck up behind you, and the next thing you know, you're hitting the retry button to start the mission all over again. And speaking of the enemies, I have to say, Spawn has a certain imagination that is just unlike other games. From the angelic beings of good to the demonic creatures that you'll find yourself fighting throughout the game, the artwork in this game is very well done. And if you're familiar with Spawn, you can pretty much relate to everything you'll encounter. One of the things I hated about the agony weapon, or axe for those of you that have never played this game, is that you have no other combo than simply hitting the circle button over and over again. Some other reviews of this game claim it was repetitive, and I'd have to fully agree. If they would somehow cook up a new Spawn video game, I think that his axe has a lot of potential. But in this game, to me, the axe is just a complete waste. But upon finding or entering cheat codes to unlock Spawn's other weapons, you'll find that they range from awesome to very shitty. And the automatic aiming with R1 made it almost cheating when you'd fire at an enemy, just obliterating them if you just hold down the shoot button. Finally, you have Spawn's Necroplasm and Hell Chains. The Necroplasm is cool, and you can blast enemies pretty easy, and the strength of his Hell powers are appropriate from level to level. Now, I love how you can grapple your way from one point to another with your Hell Chains, however, I hate that you can't do it anytime you want. It's Spawn, for God's sakes. He can move swiftly from rooftop to rooftop via Hell Chains or even teleportation. Yet they don't let you do that here. That's like denying Spider-Man the ability to swing with his web from building to building. Seriously.
Yet I can remember. Love. Wonder.
It's just too bad that the execution of this game was below average. Spawn Armageddon was a game that was not loved by a lot of people. Now, even though the game caught a lot of flack and received very poor ratings from a lot of its critics, I believe that Spawn the video game was a great idea. My official question and complaint about this game is, why didn't they make more Spawn games, let alone more movies? I honestly didn't think that the game was bad enough to the point where they didn't try to make another game with a possible different approach to try to improve things as a whole. And as I played the game, I thought overall it wasn't that bad. Spawn Armageddon was a good idea, but I guess some video games that are comic book adaptations were just never meant to be, and maybe never should have been in the first place. The Spawn concept in general is awesome, but as far as Spawn video games are concerned, I think they need to go back to the drawing board.